Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about finances. Financial education, is like very controversial essentially for a lot of people. But there's been a lot of people who talk about financial education and financial literacy and financial independence. And I am one for it. I actually have some resources on my website. If you look into the box below, you can see some links to some guides that I have for people who are struggling with financial education. Because I grew up poor. I didn't understand finances at all growing up. I didn't understand budgeting. I was lucky enough in high school to take this finance class. It was like really great for like setting me up for life, but it didn't get into too much nitty-gritty, but it did teach me how to budget because I was on the second semester of high school, I did live alone. I was living through this uh program, but essentially that allowed me to have an apartment at a reduced price, and they pretty much budgeted your money, and I had to learn how to budget by myself and buy food on the limited amount of income that I had. I was working part-time and going to high school, so like I really kind of had a adult. I had to be an adult pretty early in my life. But because I came from poverty, because I didn't really understand how money worked, it took a long time for me to figure it out. And I did some stupid things, like I got into credit card debt. And I would get into credit card debt by buying necessities, right? Because I grew up poor. I was going to community college. I transferred to a 4-year college, and then I went to grad school. And throughout that, I did not know what I was doing with money. And I took out a couple of credit cards, and I used those credit cards to buy groceries, all right, to buy clothes, and not like just any type of clothes, like just living day-to-day clothes, buy business casual clothes for work. Like I was not using the money in the way that it should have been used, which is when you get a credit card, you use that credit card to buy things with money you already have, and then you pay off the balance before the end of the month, before you get charged any interest fees, and that was what builds your credit. The credit card is meant for money you already have. It's a tool. It's a pretty messed up tool because most of the world does not use credit cards like that. And the only way to get credit in the United States is to build debt, essentially. But if you know how it works, you're not supposed to spend more than what you have. You're only supposed to spend what you have, and then you pay it off immediately. But I didn't understand that at the time. I was in survival mode. I was like, I gotta eat, like I gotta eat. So I would buy groceries with it, and then I'd be like, I'll just pay it off later. And that made my debt grow pretty significantly. I think I got to, I want to say like $6,000 in debt, and that's just credit card debt. Now my financial education debt is wild, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to pay that off, maybe one day in the future, but I don't worry too much about that. I just pay my minimums because I'm like, it's to me, the fact that I even had to pay so much money to go to college and to get into so much debt is ridiculous, but that is the American way. But so I don't really worry too much about it as long as I keep up with it. I don't care. I care more about my credit card debt. So at the time, I would say I was in my mid to late 20s, and I was like, I need to figure out how to get rid of this debt. Like I can't keep going in the future. I'm not going to be able to do any of the goals that I have if I keep doing this cycle over and over again. So what I ended up doing, which is what most people should do, is I did the snowball method. You don't have to do the snowball method. You can do the avalanche method, whatever works for you. There's a couple of different types of ways to get rid of your debt, but I did a snowball. So I took the lowest amount of debt that I had, whichever account it was, and I paid that off first. And then I went to the next one and I paid that one off. And then it just, once you start paying them off, it just like gradually becomes really fulfilling and natural, and you just end up snowballing, and the ball gets bigger and bigger, and then you're able to pay off all your debt. So it only took me, honestly, maybe like a year to pay off the money. Considering I wasn't making a lot of money. I was making barely over minimum wage, but I was able to just be focused about it, do odd jobs and just use whatever little extra money I had to go towards the debt. Now, after I had done that, I came to the realization, I was like, okay, now I've paid off that debt. I don't want to get into any more debt, really. How do I do that? And the reality of the situation, and like after some trial and errors, was like, I need to make more money. And I got a better job here and there. One of the jobs actually had a financial consultant, uh I forgot what the title is. They fiduciary. a fiduciary come and like talk to us, and I had he offered some private time, and I talked to him, and I was like telling him about my finances, and like I'm having trouble saving and all these things, and he just point blank just told me, he was like, you just need to make more money. That is the basic reality of your situation, is you don't make enough money. So in order for you to do the things that you want to do and hit those goals, you have to make more money. And just having someone just tell me that and be point blank about it was really helpful, even though at the time I was like kind of defeated. I was like, well, how am I going to make more money? But after, absorbing it and taking it in, I was like determined. I was like, I got to make more money. So what I did was, at that particular job, I just went harder and I put myself out, and I was like, hey, I want to transfer to departments. I want to be in this field. I want to learn this. And told them about my skill set, because honestly, they didn't even know about my whole skill set. I didn't tell them all of my education when I started, because when I got out of grad school, I found that it was very hard to get a job with my education level. So I took a lot of my education off of my resume to actually get a job. And then now that I had a certain job and I had my foot into the company, I was like, oh, hey, yeah, actually, I have this education. And they're like, oh, you do? Oh, you should be doing this, blah, blah, blah. Because I had like proven myself, right? So I used that leverage, and I was able to get better jobs, and I leveled up in that job. I literally, when I started that job, I was making, I want to say, $16 an hour, 16.50, something like that an hour. And by the time that I left that company, I was making six figures. I was making over 100K. So I mean, obviously, I went through a few jobs. I think I had like four or five jobs when I was at that company, but it did pay off to be loyal at the time and to make connections and to build my career there. And then I went on to another company and also made six figures. Now, I do want to say I do not make six figures anymore. I left the corporate world because it was just killing my soul, and I was like so unhealthy, and just I decided that I didn't want to, like, the money didn't outweigh the mental costs, the mental health costs. And so now I do not make six figures, but I make enough. I'm a freelancer. I work mostly in talent acquisition, and I also do lots of other odd jobs. Like I'm not gonna act like I'm, above anything. If someone gives me a job, I'm gonna take it. So I do odd jobs, and sometimes I help people with their financial education and independence. I help people move abroad. You can find all that stuff in the information below, or at my website. But yeah, I help people, with whatever task they need. And I found that once I started living abroad, because that was also part of the journey, was that I didn't need as much money. United States, you need so much money. I was living in San Francisco Bay Area. The San Francisco Bay Area is so expensive. Granted, there is higher pay, but like everything else is very expensive as well. And I wanted to live there because it was a place that I felt very comfortable as a black person, as a trans person, as an othered person in general. Like I just felt very comfortable in San Francisco Bay Area. So I lived there, and it was expensive. And over time, realized like I don't even want to live in this country anymore. Let me put some things in place. I started financially planning. I started saving a lot of my money to get ready to leave, and explore essentially the world. So I did that at first. I did leave. Like I said, I went to Mexico and Guatemala. I've said that in previous videos. And then I did come back to the United States, had to regroup because I needed to get rid of my apartment, which I was still paying. I was paying for an apartment for 9 months that I wasn't there. That was crazy. But went back, got rid of the apartment, saved up money another like 9 months or so, got like an odd job, and then left again. And now I've been abroad again. I think I'm going on again another 9 months. I should be hopefully staying outside of the country from now on. And I rely mostly on freelance work if I can get it. If it's possible, and savings, essentially. That's how I'm living. But living abroad, you don't need as much money. A lot of times, a lot of places you can live abroad for like $1,500, and if you're with someone else, maybe $2,000, $2,500 total a month, including your rent, including your food, your expenses, shopping, all of these things is so much more affordable than the United States. So I've been able to thrive outside of the United States, even though I make significantly less money. I make the kind of money that I was making when I was like considered poor essentially, but I'm not poor here. I'm probably considered anywhere between working and middle class based on my income. And it's not something I don't feel like I'm special at all. I feel like anyone can do this. If you want to live abroad, if you, not even if you want to live abroad, maybe you just want to be financially independent, you want to get your money right, you have to start budgeting. You have to start saving. You have to start investing in the stock market. Like you have to, index funds. Can't even talk. All of these things are vital for you to become financially independent and to control your life. And it can feel overwhelming, but I want to say that I've always wanted to live outside of the country. Since I was like a teenager, and it took me 20 years to actually leave the country, right? So I feel like people look online and they see other people doing all the things that they want to do and they feel discouraged. And it's like you have a pretty long life and you just have to take it day by day and write down your goals and actually start accomplishing the small ones that lead to bigger ones. And then you'll be able to do anything that you want to do. I don't think anything is out of the realm of possibility unless you don't try, right? If you don't try, then you're not going to be able to attain those goals. But yeah, I think that the first start is financial education. You have to understand how money works, how you work with money, and how it's best for you to learn how to save and invest it so that you can accomplish whatever goals you may have. Because maybe you want to stay in the United States. Maybe you're like, I'm fine. It's cool. I want to stay here, but I don't want to be poor. And that's a fine goal. No, who wants to be It's hard. It's hard being poor. You just want to have extra money. You want to be able to buy the things you want to buy. You want to maybe start a family. You want to go on really fun vacations. Like whatever your goals are, you have to put yourself in the right position to get them. And coming from someone who grew up poor, and who was able to attain, upper middle class status. And then now I'm back to more of a working class poor status. I'm happy. I'm happy because I know how money works and I know that I only need so much to sustain myself. And I know that I can help other people attain their goals with the education that I have learned. So, yeah, I just wanted to come on here real quickly and talk about like my journey essentially of money and how I got to where I'm at right now. And right now I'm in Bangkok, right? So second time being in Bangkok, and I love it here. My rent is 400 and I think $54. So it's under $500. I'm in a studio, mind granted, I'm in a studio with my wife, but we're used to that. We're used to being small, but we pay under $500 a month for rent, and we're paying like an elevated price, right? We're paying through a leasing a company and stuff. But our food costs about $10-15 a day between us. And sometimes we can stretch that depending on what the food is to the next day. And then transportation, most things are nearby. We just walk most places, but if we need to call a Grab or we get on the BTS, very, very affordable. Like life is very affordable here and it doesn't take much to live. And that is one of the reasons why I wanted to live abroad, amongst other things, is like affordability. And I'm really, really grateful to the Thai government for allowing me to be here. And I'm working on being here longer term. There's some things I need to get in place, but I'm hoping that I can make this a more long-term situation. But yes, but that's again, educating yourself, right? To understanding how do I attain the goals that I want to attain? How do I get to the countries I want to get to? You have to like do your own research and study the laws and the visas and like what is attainable for you on an individual level and what you want to do. Everything is possible. Almost anything is possible. Almost anything is possible. Maybe you can't become an astronaut, but could you become a scientist that works with astronauts? Probably. The chances are actually not that low. Like you could probably do it. Just being more realistic about your goals and how you want to get there. So, but yeah, thank you for listening today. For my quick little recap of like my financial journey and like how I got to where I am. Yeah, like I said, if you're interested, please check the information below. And I make videos every day, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace. Real quick before you leave, if you enjoyed this video and you like this kind of content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm really building this channel for people who want honest conversations about traveling, living abroad, financial freedom, and just figuring life out outside the box. I'm not your average guy. I occupy quite a lot of identities that are not mainstream. My perspective gives a unique outlook that doesn't always get a voice in popular media, and I appreciate anyone open to hearing my voice, knowledge, and experience. So if that's your vibe, subscribe, join the community, and let's keep exploring together.